And good morning. It is 8 o'clock. Time to start our daily motivation from the tarot stream. And I'd like to give a little bit of background first. I noticed in some of my streams here, I didn't really do a good job of letting people know who I am, what my experience is, and why I'm doing these streams. Anyway, my name is Ralph, and I have been working successfully from home for the past 15 years. I started doing it part-time, and then after I got some success doing it part-time, I decided to go ahead and quit my full-time job and go ahead and start working from home full-time. And part of that work that we've been doing, my wife and I working together, is that we've been doing some personal coaching using the tarot. And I've also done affiliate marketing, and that's where I'm really focused on right now, is working up my affiliate marketing offers that pay recurring commissions so that we can eventually get ourselves to the point where we can not be doing personal coaching as much as we are and just sit back and enjoy life while we have passive streams of income coming in. But when it comes to tarot, my wife and I have been doing this professionally since 2011. And we've have a wide variety of different clients. So with that being said, let's get into the topic at hand, which is lessons that we can learn from the Hierophant card. And I notice we have a listener here. Well, welcome, admin. And if you want to speak, go ahead and raise your hand. I generally do these programs as, kind of a lecture type thing, but it's nice to get other people's inputs in too. So any listeners out there that want to, speak up, go ahead and raise your hand. I'll see if I can bring you out. But one lesson that we can learn from the Hierophant card is the importance of establishing connections. One interpretation of the Hierophant card is that it can stand for connectedness. Connectedness between one another, connectedness between us and the God of our understanding. And in the Hierophant card that I am dealing with right now from the Rider-Waite deck, we see what looks like a pope sitting on his throne, with his cross, and the two monks bending down in front of the pope. And at first, when I was first learning how to do tarot, I would look at this card and think, okay, this is traditional spiritual values. And that definition can definitely apply. But then I got looking at other readers, reading through other books and looking at other interpretations. And the idea of connectedness can also be brought into this understanding. Connections between us and God, connections between us and other people. And so what we can see here is being a bridge between heaven and earth, and also the need of bridging the gaps between ourselves and one another. And the lesson that we can learn from this card is that we are not going through this life like an island. There's an old song you grew up with back in the 1960s, I am a rock, I am an island. And no one is really a rock. No one is really an island. We are not going through this life separated one from the other. We feel at times like we're separated. We are individuals, but yet there are connections that we have, some pretty obvious connections that people will lose track of, not really see. And I've got to lubricate my throat here. Wow, just woke up not too long ago, so my throat is not doing too well right now. But you consider how many people there are on the face of the earth. 8 billion plus people. You would think that we'd have a wide variety of different personality types. But a few years ago, I Googled how many personality types there are, and really there are only about 16 different personality types. 8 billion people all going through life like they're separate individuals, which we are, but we have only 16 basic personality types, at least that are officially recognized on the planet. And you look at the tarot, how many different archetypes are there? Well, according to Jung, the Jungian archetypes, there are 12 basic archetypes. So, looking at this, we see that there is a lot of connectedness going on between ourselves and one another. And if we're going through life thinking that no one can understand me, no one can understand my pain, no one can understand what I'm going through, because I'm such an individual, I am so different from everybody else, really we're just kind of deceiving ourselves. There are connections between ourselves and other people. There are doorways of understanding that we can open up and walk through if we choose to. So one lesson that we can learn from the Hierophant card, looking at it as a bridge between heaven and earth, a bridge between one another, is that during those times in which we feel like we're separated, cut off, like we're going through something that we think no one else on the planet could possibly relate to, know that there has been other people go through very similar problems, go through very similar things, and there are people out there that we can reach out to gain some hope from, to be able to channel their experience and learn from their experience. When we think that we are so unique and so different from everybody else that we could not possibly learn or get guidance from anyone else, then we're cutting ourselves off. We're not using the Hierophant as a doorway. Instead, we're taking that door and we're slamming it shut through our own inner attitudes. But when we achieve a certain level of humility, that tells us that, I'm not so darned unique. Yes, I am a different person. I've got my own personality traits, 16 different personality traits out there being shared amongst 8 billion different people. And yet we add our own special uniqueness, our own special flavor, our own flair to each of these different personality types. So in a way, we have these connections, but in a way, we rock them all differently. But yeah, when we recognize that we are not so unique, when we recognize that we can relate to other people, that there are other people that have gone through the same stuff that we've gone through in the past, then we can open the door to getting help and aid from other people. One story that I experienced in the last 10 years is, well, actually about 15 years now, but my dad started going through vascular dementia, and he went into a kind of a long downward spiral of losing his mind. And it was a very sad thing to see him go through. And what complicated the problem is that my mom, at the same time, was going through full-blown Alzheimer's disease. And that's really what motivated me to begin working from home, actually, is that somebody needed to be around the house to care for them in their golden years. And as Dad said to me when he was still more cognizant, he said, "Ralph, we need a keeper." And so I had to figure out a way to work from home, keep money coming in, and a way of doing that would still give me the free time to take care of them 8 to 10 hours a day. So we did that. But one thing that my dad taught me during this experience is a lesson from the Hierophant. Because there was a time when he had pretty much lost his mind through vascular dementia, would get into fits of depression and some rather violent, verbally violent episodes that he would go through. His personality changed dramatically from day to day, it seemed. But he would say, no one on this earth can possibly know what I'm going through. And people would say, hey, cheer up, to try to get out of your blue funk. And he would react kind of violently, verbally violently to things like that. And I had learned by that time, don't disagree with him. Just try to calm him down. Calm him down without saying calm down. And by that time, I had learned all the things that would trigger him. So I was able to calm him down, deal with him, and just kind of more or less agree with him. But it made me stop and think, are we really so different? Are we really so unique? Because back when Dad was more cognizant, when he had his mental facilities going for him, he would recognize as a businessman dealing with a wide variety of people every day that people are not that unique. We all have similar personality types, and he could deal with people very easily once he spotted what their personality was like. He didn't know a darn thing about personality types, but he knew people. And once he learned to recognize a certain personality type, he could tell right off the bat how he could deal successfully with this person, and which people would be trouble and which people would be, folks he could do business with. And yet, in his latter years, when he was going through those dark times of dementia, that dark time of the soul, felt very cut off. And so I learned not to argue with him, but I also knew, okay, there is a connection, and we were able to connect him up with people that were going through similar things and people that could help besides just myself, and we're able to give him some peace in his later years. But one thing that I've noticed, he's been gone now for about 8 years. One thing that I've noticed, another connection that I still have with my late father, is that when he was going through his period of darkness, he was going through some mental problems, he was going through some physical problems. Now that I've aged myself about 10 years, I see some of those same issues arising in myself. Some physical issues, some personality issues, some mental issues. And I have learned from that experience in helping Dad cope with the things he was going through. I learned from experience what treatments would work, what treatments didn't work, and what treatments actually made the problem worse. And so one important lesson that I've learned from my dad is not that I am so bloody unique that no one else on the face of the planet can possibly relate to what I've gone through. I am just so similar in a way to my dad that the lessons, the life lessons he went through, they not only taught him how to go through this life, I can pick up on those too. And I can learn from his experiences what can help me to avoid going down that exact same path myself. Over the last 5 years, I've radically changed my diet. And so I've kind of, when I saw myself going through some similar issues that Dad went through, I've learned, okay, I can take action to change that. I can take action to change my final outcome. I'm not fated through genetics or through other factors, the stars, the planets, whatever you believe in. I am not fated to live this life this certain way. I have the power to make change if I choose to. One great lesson that I learned from my dad, with that connection that we had, we're both stubborn, we both tend to be bullheaded, but he was very resistant to change. He felt in his latter years he couldn't change. I took that lesson and turned it upside down. I'm changing everything I possibly can to give myself a better life in my latter years. Because I don't want to have to go through the last 10 years of my life saying, hey, look, I need a keeper. Somebody take care of me. No, I want to have my independence. I want to have my mental abilities. And so, yeah, I'm learning that little lesson from that past connection and doing what I can to make changes in my life. So, yeah, we may think that we're all individuals, and we are. We may think that we're all so different that there's nobody else on this planet that's going through the same things that we are, and that's wrong. We have similar experiences as other people. We all just rock them differently. We have the similar personality types as other people. We just tend to rock them a little bit differently. And so when we open ourselves up in all humility to the understanding that there are other people out there that can help to guide us, and when we open ourselves up to the realization that we have spirit guides that can also guide us, that we have connections both spiritually between us and the spiritual realms and between ourselves and the earthly realms, then yeah, we can find all kinds of mentors, advisors, friends, people who can help us out and help us feel a lot less isolated and a lot more connected. So yeah, connections as well as tradition. One lesson we can learn from the Hierophant. Now, what I'm going to do, kind of wrap up this this space, is I'm going to take 3 cards, one of which is the Hierophant card, and kind of mix them up. 2 of these cards I've dealt out at random. I have no idea what they are, and I've mixed them in with the one Hierophant card. So we'll see how we can use the Hierophant in a reading. A simple 3-card reading. And the question for today will be, what lessons do I have to learn today to make my life a little more prosperous, a little more productive, a little better? What lesson can I learn today to make my life better? So, kind of a general question, but a question nonetheless. So now I'm going to deal out the 3 cards. First one is the Hierophant. So the lesson to be learned there, we've already discussed that. You're not isolated. You're not alone. You've got connections. The thing is spotting them. And a lot of times, one problem that people will go through is that they will tend to isolate sometimes when they enter into a period of difficulty. And the Hierophant here says, don't isolate, build bridges. If it's a spiritual bridge you need between you, between heaven and earth, between you and the God of your understanding, then go ahead and build that bridge. If you don't believe that, if you don't feel you need that, build lateral bridges. Build bridges between you and other people. Find someone who is going through a similar problem. You know, if you're an alcoholic, find other people that have dealt with addictions. If you are going through experiences with family illnesses, cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, things like that, there are support groups out there helping you connect with people who have gone through or are going through those exact same experiences, and open yourselves up to be able to learn from those other people and your spirit guides as well, if you're a believer in that sort of thing. I recognize not all people are. I tend to be a very spiritual person in that regard, but, you know, not everybody is. Second card is the Hanged Man, card denoting sacrifice. Also a card denoting sacrifice in order to gain wisdom, in order to gain better, clearer understanding. And that is in the second position, the present position. And here I see, okay, another indicator that it's time to get out of your shell. Again, people tend to isolate. Don't remain isolated when you're going through difficult times. It may seem difficult to emerge out of your shell when you're going through a difficult period and reach out for help to other people, or just reach out for, advice from somebody else. And the Hanged Man card is saying to us, make that sacrifice. Don't just stay there isolated, hanging on your tree of woe and feeling sorry for yourself. Reach out to other people who have gone through similar experiences. Learn what they've learned through their own experience. So yeah, make that sacrifice to reach out to other people and gain from their experience, their strength, and their hope. And then the third card in the future position, the King of Wands, Master of Creativity. Build a stronger, more creative life by opening yourself up to other people, by opening yourself to those past experiences that you yourself have gone through. See, another weakness that people will tend to have is that they'll be burdened with a lot of past experiences, be burdened with a lot of things that they would rather not remember, that they would like to forget. And one mistake that some people will make is that they will try to whitewash their past without learning lessons from those past experiences. And they'll cut themselves off from certain people. They'll try to cut themselves off from those experiences. One lesson that we can learn here from the King of Wands is that you need to use those past experiences creatively. Learn the lessons from them that you need to learn. Maybe there's some unpleasant memories that you failed to learn from. You were in such a hurry to forget them, you never really dealt with them, you never really learned from them. Don't dwell in the past, but at the same time, go back through the Hanged Man card here, that sacrifice, that lesson of sacrifice. Take a look at where you've been in the past, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the unpleasantness, and all the beauty too, and see what you can learn from those experiences. And if there's something in your past that you've glossed over, whitewashed over, you will tend to repeat those experiences until you've learned those lessons. So this is why we see a lot of people that will tend to jump out of the frying pan and into the fire. We'll see people that have gone through like several different failed marriages, been married and divorced repeated times, 5, 6, 7 times, and without really learning their lesson. And the thing is, we will tend to repeat those past mistakes until we learn from those past mistakes. So the message here from the King of Wands card in relationship to the Hierophant and the Hanged Man. Deal with your past issues. Deal creatively with your past. Learn from your past mistakes. Learn your life lessons. And then you will be able to create a much better future. When we deal with issues like tarot, astrology, things of that nature, divination, tools that most people think of as being tools of divination, and I see them as coaching tools, not just divinatory tools, but coaching tools. But they tend to see these tools as being ways in which they can learn how they're fated to go through this life. And they'll tend to want people to make predictions for them. What is my life going to be like in the next 6 months? And what they tend to want to hear is, what fate the stars, the planets, the gods have in store for them. And what I tell people is that, okay, we need to look at your past energy. How have you dealt with it? Have you dealt with it in a good way? Have you learned lessons from it? Have you ignored those lessons? And then, how can we take that past energy and use it to shape the future that you want? I'm not a person that tends to deal in areas like fate and predestination. I come from the school of self-determination. You can take your past energy, you can take your life lessons, you can learn from them, and then you can use this energy going forward to create the future that you desire. One quote that I love that's sometimes attributed to Benjamin Franklin, other times attributed to another entrepreneur, but the best way to predict the future is by creating it. And that's the way I look at life. That's the way I look at tarot. That's the way I look at all the tools of divination and coaching that we use. The best way to predict your own future is by creating it yourself. And not just creating it yourself, but remembering the lesson of the Hierophant. Build bridges between yourself and other people. Build bridges between you and the realm of spirit, if you're a believer in that sort of thing, as am I. And use those connections to help empower you. One entrepreneur that I love and follow and learn from, Grant Cardone. And he has a saying, if you want to increase your net worth, increase your networks, build the quality of your business networks. Your networks become your net worth. And if we're going through this life isolated, alone, and afraid, we're not building networks. We're cutting ourselves off. We're taking that door that the Hierophant can represent, and we're slamming it shut. So yeah, remember, open that door. Build those connections. Accept those connections. Learn to develop the humility that it takes to be able to learn from a wide variety of people. And then learn your lessons, use them creatively to build the life that you desire. Not just the one that's been fated to you by society, by your family, by other people. Build the life you desire. Okay, that's all for now. This is Ralph signing out. Thanks to those 2 or 3 people that dropped by. This recording is being recorded, and I am going to go ahead and make a video on this recording and put it up on YouTube and Rumble. So I won't be doing this tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. I'm going to be spending the day networking and kind of healing up. And we may do it on Sunday, but when we do come back, the next card is going to be the Lover's card. We just learned about opening doors and building connection with the Hierophant card. The Lover's card is about taking definite steps to build those connections, some very intimate connections, some very personal connections. And that'll be coming up. Card number 6, the Lovers, in our next daily motivation from the tarot space here on X. So until then, this is Ralph signing out. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.